Happy New Year. It is my last day of winter break. Unfortunately, I have to go back to school tomorrow. I am a teacher, and it is time to go back to reality. Let me not say unfortunately, because I actually love what I do, but I mean, who doesn't love sitting at home from time to time and getting paid still? Yeah. I'm just hoping now that a few snow days come in. But anyway, I am here to talk to you about myths of mobile home living. One myth that is commonly said is that mobile homes are for low income people only. Now, I will be honest, I too was one of those people that had several myths about what I thought mobile home living was like before I made my decision to actually choose to purchase a mobile home. I was one of those people that kind of felt like, playing in certain stigmatisms about mobile home living. But one myth is most definitely that it's just low income people in mobile homes. Now, just like anywhere else that you would choose to live, you do your research. So, for my husband and myself, what we decided to do was we scoped out the choices. We didn't just select one particular mobile home unit and just say we're going with that one. We went to several mobile home lots until we found one that we felt like was what we wanted. And I'm talking about we did some pop-ups, just like, summertime is hot. Let me see what the crowd is going to be like. Nighttime is dark. Let me see who's hanging around here before we decided to make a complete purchase and be locked in somewhere that we didn't feel comfortable with living. But what we noticed was in this particular community that we selected, there were a lot of people who are what would be considered middle class people. There's police officers, there's a lot of other school teachers like myself. And I know people were thinking, well, police officers, teachers, aren't you guys like the lowest paid? Not necessarily. Teachers complain because we are most definitely underappreciated and undervalued, but a lot of teachers are making some pretty decent money. And I'm sure there's a lot of other careers that are out here. I mean, I'm new to the community, so I don't know a lot of people or what they do. This is just me knowing based off of when I had to go in and go through the orientation as a part of being accepted into the community. Because this particular community, first you had to even get accepted before you can even consider purchasing a home here. So there were a lot of guidelines that you had to follow while living here. They were also it's very family oriented. We have a pool, we have a playground, we have a basketball court. So it's not what you would typically think when you hear trailer homes. Now, another misconception is that it is not cost efficient when it comes to electricity and utilities. So my particular home is electric only. So I don't have to worry about a gas bill, which I was very excited to hear. Now, what I've also noticed is realistically, I got my first utility bill. Now, of course, the transfer fee was added on there, which made it a lot higher than what the actual bill would be. But what I noticed is it's only slightly higher than what I was paying before I moved. Before moving here, I moved from a 2-bedroom, 1.5-bath townhouse, and now I'm in a 3-bedroom, 2 bathrooms. And so the cost of the utilities probably went up about, I would say, maybe $50 more than what I was paying before. But again, it's a larger space. And also, it is the winter time, and it is not a gas place. So everything is electric. So our heat is on, because one of the things about mobile home living is you have to run your heat consistently to prevent, when it's cold outside, to prevent pipes freezing, because pipes are on top of the ground. So I'll do some more videos explaining how you prevent your pipes from freezing, which was something that I had to learn when I moved in here. But so with those things taken into consideration, I feel like overall the cost is still very cost efficient for utilities. And also, our utilities that we go through is one of the higher marked companies. So no matter where you live, anybody that utilizes BPU as a primary electric source, everybody's kind of overpriced right now because they are just constantly like going up on the prices. Another myth would be that mobile homes depreciate in value. Now, to a certain degree, there's some truth to that, because if you purchase a mobile home that is older than 2023, then yes, the value each year starts to depreciate. But if you maintain your mobile unit and keep it in good standards, even if you were decided to sell it, like in my case, my unit is a 2018, so it's not the newest unit, but it's still considered newer. And because of the year that I have, it's really insulated really good, so it has newer model, like the build on the outside is newer model, which is another reason why my utilities aren't extremely high. But also, the value of my unit is still a decent amount. If I chose to sell it, I could still make it, as long as, like, if I decided in 5 years I wanted a new one or move somewhere different, I could sell it and still make a pretty, not the exact amount that I paid for it, but I could still make money off of it if I wanted to sell, because it's all about how you keep them up and the maintenance you put in, just like a regular house would be. Another myth would be that they're not safe. That they're not safe and they're prone to fires, and that tornadoes and damages and stuff like that occurs a lot in mobile homes, which is not true. Mobile homes are also actually built very sturdy. They're very sturdy, and just like any other house or home or apartment that you purchase that don't have basements, mobile homes would be no different, but you would still have to figure out an alternative to be safe in case of a tornado or a really bad storm. However, mobile homes, some homes were built like in 1970, and they are still in existence in these communities today. Like really old mobile homes are still around our community. Don't know if they're all the way back to the 70s. They might be in the 80s or the 90s, but there are most definitely people who have really older model units, mobile homes, that still live in them. And one thing about mobile homes is they have to pass inspections frequently when you have them placed in a community that's not a private owned property. So with the inspections, you have to meet certain state guidelines in order for your mobile home to even be placed in a lot. So that goes to show that if you can have an older home that's built in like the 1990s or 80s and still have it meet code for livable standards, that means that these units are most definitely pretty durable. So though a lot of people have these myths that this is why they don't want to purchase them, that most definitely is not the case. And with fire, that's pretty universal. Anywhere you live, you leave something on the stove, anybody's place can catch on fire. Mobile homes are no different. So it's just a matter of, being safe and cautious when you're cooking or leaving a candle on or whatever the case may be, that any place could catch on fire. So those are some of the most common myths that I have heard since I have decided to make my choice to purchase a mobile home. And so those are some things that I just wanted to clear up, because oftentimes people like myself are kind of reluctant to make purchases of like places like a mobile home, because we hear about these myths, and it's like, I don't want to live in a mobile home. This is for low income people. These people are this type of way. All the people who live there are this way. And it's so not true, or we'll get caught up in, well, those homes are not sustainable, you're not safe there, and that is not true. So I did a lot of research before I decided to purchase this particular home. And another myth is that it is hard to finance mobile homes, which is really not the case, because my mobile home I actually financed and went through a loan process. Initially, when I was looking, I was actually interested in tiny home living. So my husband and I had decided that we didn't want to continue renting at our previous apartment or townhouse. And so we were like, everywhere we looked at to rent anywhere else was like maybe an additional $400 to $500 in cost, because I had been at my previous townhome for some time prior to getting married. And so I was kind of like grandfathered in with the pricing. So moving to another place that size, because he has his son, was gonna most definitely be a cost increase. And so we were torn between continuing to find somewhere to rent or purchasing, making a purchase and buying a home. And so we looked at a lot of different opportunities, and initially we were like, we going with tiny homes. We had watched a show on tiny homes, Tiny Home Living on Netflix. We watched every episode, and we were so set in that we were going to go ahead and we were going to do tiny home living. I even reached out to someone about building a tiny home, and it was a really good build. But then that's when we realized that if you want a tiny home, you have to own your land. That is the most effective way. Unless you live in a state where tiny homes are really, really considered common, more so. So just like I was saying before, in the Midwest, mobile homes were not really popular, especially in the Black community. Tiny homes are really not popular in the Black community, or any community for that matter, in Kansas City, Kansas. And I did find one lot located in Missouri, but it was kind of off the grid living, and the commute from that lot was insane. So we kind of scratched that idea. We looked into container homes, and those were actually more expensive than buying a standard home, because container homes start to really add up unless you are really good at building stuff yourself. So when we came to the decision to do manufactured homes, well, technically all of those would be manufactured too, but while looking at other manufactured homes, we decided that we were going to go with the mobile home. And when we did, we went to visit a few lots. When we came to this particular lot, the managers in the office, she gave me a list. Well, she gave us some options to view, and then she gave me a list of loan agencies. Well, yeah, whatever is the proper term. The people who finance the homes, who specifically do it for manufactured homes, because you have to find a certain person that will qualify you for that amount of money to have to reduce it. Because one of the ones we looked at was only $34,000 or something like that. And so to get a loan that low, you do have to go through specific loan lenders that do manufactured living, because a lot of people won't, because of the risk that you run from those homes and the value of them, were tiny homes and things like that. So when we contacted our person, the process was actually really easy. We completed an application, which really required very little paperwork, and I would say within 3 weeks our process was completely over, and we were asked which day we wanted to do our closing and move in. And so our home, we moved in as is. It was already ready. livable. And we were given 30 additional days to like go through, do a walkthrough, check the refrigerator. It came with appliances. We got to check them. We got to check the furnace, the water heater, all of those things. And if there were anything that we found within 30 days, our complex, the lot that we live in, was willing to fix them for us within those 30 days. So it was a few things that maintenance did come out in service for us within the first 30 days, which I thought was really great. And what we also was able to do was kind of like get some resources from like them, like, well, if the plumbing breaks, what do you do? Who do you contact? And they were saying like, we have people put in place, and because you're in our community, we'll share them with you, even though you have decided to purchase and not rent. And so like, because they were saying like a lot of plumbers and things like that will try to get over on you because they try to act as if the plumbing is a big difference from standard homes. Now I will do another video on some things that I've learned that I don't like about manufactured mobile homes in another video, because I can be very transparent that some things are not always as great as others. With anything comes some good and some bad. And so I most definitely will speak on the plumbing in another video. But overall, I feel like the process of actually owning a manufactured home was easier than the process that I went through initially when I was considering buying a standard home. Now, so for me, that is most definitely a myth, and I had to learn that myself. That is not a difficult process at all. Initially, I thought that it would be because it's a different type of loan, but it has also actually been a very easy process. And the amount of the loan is like, for my mortgage is, I got excited to pay my mortgage because it was so much cheaper than what I was renting and anything else that I would have chose to rent. And imagine if you had your own land and didn't have to use a lot. I feel like people, as the economy continues to shift and fluctuate, you hear on the news and they're like, the economy is going to go back down. The economy is going down. And we want to think that the economy is going down. But realistically, with the election year coming up, it's kind of like, will it go back down? And it's like, I feel like the same people that was questioning me, like, you sure you want to do manufactured living? You going to do a mobile home? I feel like more people are going to start to lean towards it. So I'm glad that I made the decision that I did when I did, because, like anything else, when it becomes high demand in areas like the Midwest, I know it's very common in the South, but areas like the Midwest is not like, I look around me in the community and I'm like the only person that looks like me and within a certain mile ratio. Like, I've seen a few other people in passing that look like me, but really none, not very many at all. But when people start to realize like how much they're pouring into these homes, the standard homes, I feel like mobile homes will become more and more in demand, and then that's going to hike the prices up. But just think about like how much money you spend in entertainment, buying clothes, buying shoes. And think about if you started to save that money and invested it in your own mobile home. Like, my particular mobile home was $58,000. If I could have paid $58,000 up front and only pay the lot fee, or if I had my own land and I can pay $58,000 and put it on my own land and only pay the mortgage, how much cost efficient it would really be. Because even like, I was talking to my husband, I'm like, if we just went and picked up a part-time job for a year and a half and only took all of that money and put it into the mortgage and paying it off, within a year and a half we could have paid off at least half of our mortgage. So it's so realistic to be able to see a mortgage of $58,000 versus $200,000 and paying it off in a reasonable amount of time. So if you are considering mobile home living, I feel like you should really start with giving it a tour in whichever one is closest to you. And don't just tour one, because had we just toured the one that was closest to us, we would have been like, hell no. But when we started to look a little further out in different areas, different communities, we started to realize, like, hey, this is not the same in every area. And I'm glad that we did, even though initially we was not looking for a mobile home. We were looking for a spot to put our tiny home. It was most definitely a good investment, and I will continue to do videos of mobile home living to hope that it helps somebody else make the decision if you are currently torn between mobile home living and buying a standard home, so that you can still have some flex room in your life and not be committed to a 30-year loan payment on a $200,000 to $300,000 home. So push the follow button and the like button, and stay tuned for more videos on my experience of mobile home living.